This is Solo Only, a character that can't interact with other players. In March of 2023, I set out on a journey to answer one question. Can you solo Final Fantasy XIV? Could you beat the game and reach the end of Endwalker without ever using market boards, quest rewards, parties with other players or NPCs, and only using NPC shops if I had no other option? To top it all off, I'd be facing all content with level sync or silence echo for as long as it was possible. All the progress for this account is streamed every Thursday and Sunday on Twitch or YouTube if you ever feel like stopping by. Before we start, I've got something to say. You see this number right here? 50,000 by the end of the year. That's the goal, and you can help if you're one of the 60% or so that are unsubbed. Heck, we could be there right now. Subscribe, baby, hit the button, let's go. Bismarck changed me. Without question, the hardest piece of content I had ever faced in Final Fantasy XIV now sat behind us. 60 hours of my life to barely scratch out a victory. I was euphoric. The rush of emotions had hit me there on stream and in the days following. It was finally over. And for the first time in the history of this challenge, I can say nothing is going to be as difficult as that. Not for a long time. Now we stand at the precipice, the end of 3.0 right in front of us, the best gear within reach, nothing blocking us anymore. It's time to dethrone a pope. First though, we've got some massive upgrades to unlock. Our previous grind relied heavily on Centurio seals, and even though we won't likely need them again for Heavensward, we're given the final hunt tier, a weekly B rank that gives 100 Centurio seals each. Would have been a lot nicer a month or two ago, but well. Now that we're in Idyllshire, we've finally got access to the level 60 script exchange for the best crafting and gathering gear possible, alongside some higher end materials. Zloe's Orphanage unlocks custom deliveries, 6 items every week that provide us with a massive chunk of crafting or gathering scripts. Crafting scripts are relatively easy to come by with our Somal tarts, but gathering scripts not so much, and we'll be needing a good few hundred of them to unlock all the folklore books and the strongest materials in Heavensward. Then there's this monstrosity. Chloe gives us access to Wondrous Tales, a weekly checklist of trials and dungeons that can completely change the game for our account. After completing 9 of the listed items, we gain an honestly ridiculous amount of experience on whatever class we turn it in on. These are a guaranteed level up every week, if not a bit more. Combined with challenge logs, we can really start to speed up our progress with around 3 levels per week, at least until the class hits level 80. But even with that, there's a much more important reward from this that we'll talk about later. And last but not least, we can now use Tomestones of Poetics to purchase Shire gear, the strongest armor and weapons in the entire expansion. To put it simply, everything we had previously been blocked by was gone. There was absolutely nothing stopping us anymore. And there's only one way to celebrate something like that. Window shopping for cool items, checking out rewards, and progressing the MSQ. Cheers squad, I'm gonna have to ask you all to leave the zone real quick because I have to put something into Say Chat and I'm so embarrassed. So incredibly embarrassed to have to type things into Say Chat and have people around to see it. No, we stand with you, we're not going anywhere, come on. This is a nightmare that I had while I was just doing the MSQ normally. Like, other people being around while I had to do these Say Chat quests and, like, judging me for it. And now there are actually people next to me, so it just makes it so much worse. The smartest FF solo streamer around, thank you. A short 30 minutes of quests later, we've reached the first of 2 things between us and the final battle of Heavensward, the Great Gubal Library. Level synced to 60, the cap for the expansion, all of the important bits of our healing are ready and available for us to use. No real threats from the dragonflies throughout the dungeon, we rush on towards the first boss, the Demon Tome. There's, not much to say on this dude. Line AoEs appear in the center and sides of the arena, slowing you if you get hit by them, and occasionally the floor will freeze and the tome closes shut. Normally it's a solid wall that you can't walk through, but while it's closed, you can slide on past and head to the other side. Otherwise, you take a big chunk of damage. And fun fact, you can't fall off. Even though there's 0 rails here, it's just an invisible wall instead of instant death. That's it. A nice and easy boss to start things off. Maybe you should read the book instead of fighting it, buddy? Oh, true. Mike and Glowin, I'm trying my best, alright? Don't laugh at me. It must mean something. Somebody has to have a translation somewhere. I need to know the words. We need Scribe in here. Where's Scribe when I need him? Hey, Scribe, do you know what this book says?
Oh yeah, of course. It's, Pentatolithis. Aldinogigad. Ilk Eors. Teftideth, Kilgayak, Meska, Mula, Nithkul Athar, Afa-un, Manthar Kul Taoka, Mil Azan Thal Azan Ul.
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Oh, of course, anytime. Stay safe, my friend.
With another Eorzean mystery solved, Detective Solo Only heads on to his next case. After a quick stop for some reading, Vlothiswind and her League of Lost Bastards were the first Eorzeans to discover the Western continent. There is no denying that their navigational charts were instrumental in establishing the major trade routes of today. We're on to yet another book demon, Byblos. Distracted by our endless search for knowledge, yeah, this is totally the same text. What the heck? No, come back. No, don't. Hey, pull me back. We die on the first attempt. It deals a lot more damage than the first boss, but when we're actually paying attention and healing properly, it's easy enough to deal with. Every few attacks, it hits with Page Chair for around 800 to 900 damage. Heading back to the book in the center, it charges heads down, a knockback targeting a single player. Party mechanics like this won't kill any class in one hit, so it's pretty weak and easily recoverable. Below 70% health, Byblos jumps back to the book, becoming invulnerable and summoning 2 adds around the arena. While these adds are alive, he won't leave the book, instead casting Bone Shaker every 13 seconds. Bone Shaker gives a damage up to everyone in the arena, so the longer it takes to kill these books, the more likely we are to die. When a book dies, it spawns a blue orb that tethers someone and chases after them. You don't actually have to kill all the books. You just need to use one of these blue orbs to knock Byblos off of the tome he's standing on. Next is Gelka. 4 gas clouds spawn around the arena. If you step into them, they blow up. At 30%, Byblos goes invulnerable once again, and with no new mechanics, the fight ends. And so we're on to the final boss, the everlasting Bibliotaph. Aside from its big-hitting auto attacks, the Bibliotaph has one main mechanic, spawning adds. As the Void Call cast starts, the circles around the arena light up with 1, 2, or 3 pillars. If that many players stand on it together, the lights go out and nothing happens. First round is easy, since it only takes 1 person, but for the next 2 rounds, there was no way to prevent the adds from spawning. And when I said big-hitting auto attacks, I meant it. Even without mechanics, this thing was tearing us apart. The next Void Call summons 4 Bibliomancers. The Bibliomancers give us a debuff, reduced immunity, which increases the damage we take from magical attacks. But even with that, having the extra enemies around ends up being more positive than negative. Raw Intuition heals us for every enemy we hit, so we're shot back up to full health every time I use it. The final Void Call summons 2 Bibliocleps. They each take turns heading to the edge of the arena and setting up line AoEs for us to dodge, but their regular auto attack damage stacked up with the boss made it unlivable very quickly. Using everything I had to try and kill them, we still ended up dead. This was looking bad enough now to almost force a Silence Echo clear instead of level sync. Except for one little quirk with the Bibliotaph. I could not tell you why if I tried, but unlike every other enemy in the game, if you run away from the Bibliotaph, he won't start chasing you for 12 seconds. Good to see you. Dude, he's just standing there. He's not gonna move until that Void Call bursts. Oh my god, I love this. It's amazing. With that big of a delay, avoiding damage from the boss was easy, and we can just barely take down the Bibliocleps. With no mechanics left, fully enjoying running the boss around the room, the Bibliotaph falls, and the Great Gubal Library is complete. We did get a swift first-time completion for spending 77 minutes in the dungeon. And the best part, for the first time, 1 or more party members have yet to complete this duty. A second chance point was added to your journal. A second chance point. For us, this single bit of text in chat is one of the most valuable commodities in the game. These are a part of Wanderer's Tales, an incredibly limited resource that we would only get a handful of times. For now though, I'll save the details for a bit later. That's 1 dungeon down, and 1 more to go. Another quick run through the MSQ, we've reached the final zone of Heavensward, Azisla. Then, after defeating Regula von Hydrus, we were there. Flight unlocked, and the last quest, Heavensward, begins. This single quest had 2 instances for us to face. The Aetherochemical Research Facility, containing the horror known as Asian Prime, and Thornton shortly after. We had done a lot, so instead of getting a start on the dungeon, we head back and grab some dated Radzaton coins and ice stalagmites for Zloe to finish our weekly turn-ins. 873 gathering scripts in our pocket, my internet was starting to die on me, and the exhaustion was beginning to set in, so our shopping trip will have to wait for another day. Now that we've got access to the legendary gathering materials through the folklore books, it's time for a very overdue gathering gear upgrade. The majority of my equipment is still from the end of A Realm Reborn, so it's not gonna cut it anymore. Each gathering class has its own level 60 set to purchase from the script vendor, but it's a bit overkill. The stats required to harvest all the materials we want aren't actually that difficult to hit, so rather than spending 2,500 scripts for my botanist and miner, we could instead limit that to only grabbing the main hand and offhand tools for 1,000 and make a new set of armor ourselves. We've had access to it for a while, but never had a reason to make it, so now it's time for Carbon Weave gathering gear. Dark chestnuts into rarefied somal tarts gets us crafting strips for carbon fibers, pterodactyls, phalorite, and stormcloud cotton balls. White frost cotton, titanium ore, and grenade ash make titanium nuggets for titanium alloy ingots. Cloud mica for titanium ingots, sewing thread, dark chestnut logs for pterodactyl leather, rubber, a quick break for a map. They're never wrong. Don't even worry about it. It's a fake out. Oh, no. Minium, a new minion. Your name is gonna be Steward. And Natron for crystal glass. Make a carbon weave cap, vest, gloves, boots, and pants. Massive improvements across the board. We grab a new scythe for my botanist, some collectibles for gathering scripts, and purchase our first folklore book for Dravania. Now we're ready for anything. At least, mostly ready for anything. But before stepping into the Aetherochemical research facility, there was one last thing to do. Bill, the axe that has come with us every step of the way since the very beginning, has one final upgrade. The strongest Bill in the game, his final form, adamantite. And all we were missing was a single block of wing glue. It levels up our blacksmith. It's a high quality adamantite Bill. This is truly Bill's final form. And he is gorgeous. Bill Ultima unlocked. Actually though, this is Bill Ultima. It even looks like an Ultima weapon. You're right. Oh my god. This is the axe that will go forward with us all the way to the end. And I wouldn't have it any other way. With that done, it's time. The final dungeon of 3.0 and the last barrier before our battle with Thordan, the Aetherochemical Research Facility. A level 60 dungeon, every enemy in here was a trial to get past, with some groups causing multiple deaths. But a short ways up, we reach the first boss, Regula von Hydrus. Starting off with his tank buster, Bastard Blus, we're down 2,000 health the second the fight begins. Shortly after, we're stunned for 5 seconds, still tanking auto attacks, and ended with Judgment for another 2,000 damage. Barely 20 seconds since we entered, we're backed into a corner. The damage Regula was dealing was ridiculous, but using up all of our mitigations and healing, we push on to the next phase. At 80%, Regula summons a turret and jumps to a random position along the edge of the arena. For as long as the turret is alive, it's a simple dance of dodging AoEs, a perfect opportunity to stall for all of the abilities I have on cooldown. But if you don't kill the turret fast enough, it'll use self-detonate and AoE explosion for a decent chunk of damage. With the turret dead, it's back to Bastard Blus, and it only gets worse from here. It's still maybe better to just do damage during that. That's 2 tank busters in a row, buddy. Let's calm down a little bit, okay? For seemingly no reason, he's increased the frequency of his tank busters, but only sometimes. At 50%, he'll spawn 2 more turrets, one that drops circle AoEs and another using lines like before. Even with focusing on nothing but the turrets, we don't manage to kill either in time and have to tank 5,000 damage from self-detonate. Magitech Spread is another chance to heal and wait for cooldowns, with Regula jumping to the center of the arena and hitting everything in front and beside him. Another round of turrets dead means an even worse set of tank busters. In the name of the Emperor! Oh my god! This is... Please, dude, calm down. I'm sorry for making fun of you. One final ad spawn, there's nothing left, and we somehow manage to move forward. Destroying some nodes, the door opens to possibly the hardest dungeon fight I've ever had to face. Harmachis. A lot of dungeon bosses have given us problems, sure, but most ended up just being you don't deal enough damage, you can't use level sync. Harmachis, on the other hand, was a new kind of threat. A boss with such extreme mechanical difficulty that while it's possible to do level sync, It was really pushing the limit of the word. Weighing of the Heart changes the boss's form depending on when it's used. At the start of the fight, the boss turns into a snake, gaining a damage up and hitting us with a tank buster for 4,000 damage. Then it turns back into the Sphinx and the real problem starts. Chthonic Hush is an instant, undodgeable cone that poisons everything in it for 30 seconds. The poison deals 700 to 800 damage every 2.5 seconds for a total of just under 9,000 damage. Riddle of the Sphinx is a dodgeable AoE, and then it uses Chthonic Hush again. And to make things even worse, antidotes don't work on this poison, even though it can be a Sunad. At 80%, it uses Weighing of the Heart again, turning into a Naga. This is the easiest form to deal with. Turn away to dodge the gaze, and tank some AoE fireballs. Naga finished, it adds a new attack after Riddle of the Sphinx, Ka, a simple cone AoE. But even with that, the poison is still reapplied before its timer ever runs out. The first death of many, I couldn't waste a single GCD. Everything had to be used to heal. One more attempt, Harmachis hits 50%, and we get to see the real reason why this fight is practically impossible. Weighing of the Heart turns the Sphinx into a Machina. Bound in place, we're hit with Ballistic Missile, dropping us to 1 HP and knocking us into the air. And while we're ragdolling, the poison from Chthonic Hush finishes us off before we even get a chance to heal. And to top it all off, a party stack right after. If the poison didn't kill us, that would. Another death, and no further than before, the stars align for a brief moment. Right here, I push the Sphinx to 50% after it used Ka, right before the poison gets reapplied. Just barely enough time for the poison to fall off, meaning now we had a chance at surviving the ballistic missile. Desperate to see further into the fight, I use Holmgang to guarantee surviving the party stack and heal up as we enter the final phase. Chthonic Hush, Riddle of the Sphinx, Ka, and Weighing of the Heart into another Machina. For this final phase, we wouldn't have to worry about poison. All that mattered now was having enough health to survive the party stack. Thrill? Ooh, barely. Tomahawk back up, Tomahawk back up. Please. The next Weighing of the Heart was a snake. 3,000 health loss to its tank buster, but definitely better than a Machina. Just don't be. Oh, come on, man. With just 12% left, we die to the third Machina phase. 4 deaths later, luck is on our side, seeing a snake spawn for the final weighing, and after 30 minutes of attempts, we're headed on towards the final boss. A few demons later, with just 10 minutes left in this 90-minute dungeon, we face off against Lahabrea and Ikeyorm. 2 bosses at once with 2 health bars. They'll occasionally equalize their HP, so I can focus on just killing one of them for now. This entire fight is just dodging AoEs, and I really mean that. Fireballs for big circles, ice for donuts, cones in front of the bosses, repeat. And after all this work, 20% left on both bosses, we run out of time. Okay, unlucky. I hadn't mentioned it, but earlier while fighting Harmachis, we started to use the Shire chests and pants that we've had since A Realm Reborn. It made things just the smallest bit more manageable, and with our newfound access to Idleshire, we use up all the poetics we've got to finish the set. 2,000 more health, a lot more defense, we're ready for another attempt. Tomorrow. Yeah. Definitely tomorrow. ARF was proving to be more difficult than I had previously imagined, so with our newly maxed out gear, it's time to max out our food buff as well. Somal tarts for scripts get us a full set of culinary and crafting gear, even though the accessories are worse than my current ones, and we get a brand new problem that even a full set of level 60 script gear can't craft 4-star Heavensward recipes. Thankfully, we still have some options. Laurel, ogre pumpkins, smoked bacon, cyclops onion, and heaven's egg and bouillon cubes from the script vendor make a high quality heaven's egg soup. Then, white truffle, highland parsley, ruby tomatoes, garlic garlic, and wild onions for tomato sauce make the best DPS food in Heavensward, priestly omelets. New gear, new food, and a plan to get past Harmachis, nothing was going to stop us this time. The Aetherochemical research facility syncs our gear, so we don't get all of the buff from that shiny new Shire equipment, but at least it's something. Now, it's time to clear this. As the two drop to 0%, the fight moves on to a cutscene revealing the actual final boss of the Aetherochemical research facility, Ascian Prime. Shadow Flare is a raid-wide dealing 2,000 damage. Height of Chaos is a tank buster for another 4,000, and Dual Star is the first real mechanic. Combining the AoEs from the last fight, the two dodges happen in quick succession, stand under the ice orbs, and run far away from the fire orbs. Then, we've reached universal manipulation, and all the mechanics that come with it. A bleed, a donut AoE, a targeted AoE, a party stack, and a tether, followed up by another party stack, Entropic Flame, for 8,000 damage. Twice the usual damage from a stack, we wear our floor tank title with pride. Another run through UM, we take the extra damage to save my strongest mitigation, Vengeance, for the upcoming Entropic Flame, and just barely move on. Entropic Flame done, Ascian Prime teleports outside of the arena and begins their Enrage, Arcane Revelation. Okay. Whoa! That is not a lot of damage. Dodging a constant onslaught of AoEs, the Arcane Sphere needs to die before Ascian Prime's power reaches 100%, which is a lot easier said than done. Alright, I'll throw on Home Gang just in case. Not 9 million, please. Okay, yeah, 9 million damage. Okay, yeah, that's forced. There's nothing I could do there. That is unquestionably impossible. 60% isn't something we can change by being better. Already at the max gear we can get, this was the end of it. With the most health of any Enrage mechanic I had ever seen, ARF level sync was impossible. And after testing Warrior's damage on Silence Echo, that likely wouldn't be possible either. A change of plans, once again, a tank wasn't going to cut it. We're stuck using Reaper for every last point of DPS it could get us. While it's stronger than Warrior damage-wise, the lack of healing means that I need to be able to kill the boss much faster to have a chance of survival. Our current abilities are strong, but our gear could be better and we're still missing the strongest part of a Reaper's kit, Enshroud at level 80. Faster attack speeds, high potency hits, it's got everything you could ask for. So we've got to start things off by getting Reaper to 80. Challenge logs have us just barely below 79, and so it's time to finally talk about Wondrous Tales. I mentioned before that the experience gains from this book are ridiculous. Each turn-in is an entire level with the Road to 80 buff, but there's more to this than just experience. We're given a selection of instances to complete, and each time one is done, we can check it off and add a sticker to the 4x4 board on the right. Think of this like a bingo sheet. If a column, row, or diagonal fills with 4 stickers, we get a line and better rewards. With 9 stickers, there's barely any chance for it, but we can get up to 3 lines for the best possible rewards. A lot of the rewards are nice, especially if you're doing Wondrous Tales as a level 90, but we only care about one thing: Chloe's Silver Certificates of Commendation. We can't get gold since we don't have a class at level 90, so the silvers are the best we can get. With 2 complete lines, we'll get a certificate, and with 2 of those certificates, we can purchase a piece of ornate equipment. The ornate gear is based on the current expansion and the highest level gear available from it. Golds give the best, and silvers are one step down. All of this to say, if we can get 2 silver certificates, we can purchase an ornate Reniscita Cuirass of Fending, an eye level 610 chest piece. This singular piece of armor gives almost as much defense as our entire gear set, 3 times the substats of my current chest piece, and 5 materia slots, meaning we can put the highest grade materia in guaranteed. For the rest of my time on solo, we'll be going for this. No matter what, this will always be the best gear we can get, especially when Dawn Trail releases and it gets even stronger. And that's why this is so important. 1 or 2 lucky Wondrous Tales, and we're set for the rest of the challenge. We head through the Binding Coils turn 3 and some attempts to beat Nail, but my internet gets the better of me, so we take some time to regroup and yell at my ISP. Internet seemingly stable once more. It's a week later and we've got a brand new book of Wondrous Tales to do. We have to complete 9 of the 16 instances, and with a few of the options being impossible like PvP or alliance raids, we'll be going through every extreme it offers us, all of the dungeons, and hoping we get lucky for the last 2. With the extreme fights being required, we jump in on Epic Echo and make quick work of Shiva. I don't think the boulder's gonna leave. I think we're stuck in the boulder forever. Garuda, Titan. Oh, a mount. Look at that, we got a horse. Oh, big horse. Leviathan. What happened? We was just doing nothing for 20 minutes. Leviathan, there we go. And Ultima. Then, after some quick dungeons and 10 floors of Palace of the Dead, we've got our 9 stickers for the week. Alright, come on. Nope. Dude, okay. The final bit of Wondrous Tales is Second Chance Point. Earned from clearing dungeons or trials for the first time, we can use 1 second chance point to redo one of the instances on the board, or 2 of them to shuffle the stickers and hope for a better setup. Unfortunately, with how limited they were, we can't just go spending them shuffling on every attempt, but we at least end up with 1 line on the board. 1 line gets us 500 poetics, 4.7 million experience, and a bronze certificate. Though the bronze certificate is only used for minions or materia later in the game, so not exactly useful right now. 1 quick challenge log later, we've reached level 80. Now the last thing for unlocking Enshroud is the level 80 quest, and completing an instance that expects us to be using level 80 gear. Oh my god, we do no damage. And he does insane amounts of damage. Alright, yeah, no. 15k if I can't make that explosion. That is crazy damage. Thank God Square Enix added the very easy button. There we go. Hey, goodbye Orcus. It was good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Enshroud unlocked, one last thing to do. Spending the rest of my poetics on some Shire gear for Reaper. I'm a bit broke at the moment, so we only get 3 pieces. The pants, boots, and gloves. For the rest of the set plus accessories, we'd need around 1700 more, so that wasn't going to happen for a while. Then, some custom deliveries for Zoe, and trying to get some good B-roll shots, we're headed back into the Aetherochemical research facility. Everything was going well. Hydrus went down quick and easy, but the Harmachis puts a stop to our momentum once again. Warrior has home gang and an excess of healing options, while Reaper has second wind, and that's it. The Harmachis' Machina phase wouldn't be going down that easily. We'd have to learn the fight again from the very beginning. Before every attempt, we'd make use of the first 15 seconds to build up my 2 gauges, allowing us to use all of our big damage attacks as soon as the real attempt begins. Jump in, hit the boss, and jump out before the gate closes. After the reset, repeat until you've got everything ready. If we were going to survive the Machina, I had to get the boss down to 50% health without ever getting poisoned from Chthonic Hush. Or, in simpler terms, I can't ever let him use his normal attacks, or it's over. And the best I had managed was 51%. 40 minutes of attempts, we were making good progress, but we were still missing something. So we wait, hoping that more poetics and time away will give us a better chance. 1 more set of Wondrous Tales, we add Striking Tree EX and Earth's Fount to our list of completed fights. 1 line and 3.3 million experience for my warrior, we've got a few poetics, but not enough to finish the armor we need. With our new Pathfinder circlet, the only thing left is the chess piece. Our main source of poetics done for the week, we've still got one other option. The Masked Carnival, a set of fights only available on Blue Mage, comes with weekly challenges. Weird and incredibly specific clear conditions for already difficult fights, with a few hundred poetics waiting at the end. Blowing up some batteries using only my sticky tongue, we've got 240 poetics and a shiny new chess piece. Today's stream was the end of it. I slapped on the title "Stream Doesn't End Until We Win" with the plan of spending however long it took to clear this dungeon. Now, with all of our gear upgrades finished, this was our last chance to do it with Silence Echo. Inching closer and closer to victory, my internet decides it's the perfect moment to start dying. And so, resting for a while, I came to terms with everything. The final boss, Ascian Prime, used 2 consecutive party stacks in an incredibly short time. I knew I wasn't going to be able to survive it on Reaper with Silence Echo on. I had just been convincing myself that there was a way to get past it, somehow. But barely holding a connection to the servers, I was ready to move forward. With everything stable again, we head into ARF with Epic Echo. Universal manipulation across all its attacks deals just over 25,000 damage. Spamming through all of my heals, we live with health to spare. With the Arcane Sphere destroyed, Ascian Prime falls, and the Aetherochemical research facility is finally finished. Now, after all this time, we're at the final fight of Heavensward. The end of 3.0 was right in front of me. I was ready to call it, satisfied with my victory over the dungeon, but chat begged one try to see what the fight would look like. Swapping to warrior, level sync turned on. It's time to dethrone a pope. No explanations, no practice, no retries. Just one first glimpse at the final battle. I cannot believe this. There's no fight left. Just like that, it's all over. Thordan falls on the first attempt to a solo, level-synced warrior.
Who? What are you?
A long time ago, when Solo was just learning to walk, this was going to be the end. At that moment, with that final scene of Thordan crying out, "What are you?" Solo's journey would be complete. I never dreamt what it would take us to get here. I never believed Solo would learn to run. But here, with eyes that have seen how far we can go, the things we can do, we've set our sights on a goal much higher. No matter what it takes, we'll reach Endwalker. Thank you for being here with me until now. I hope you'll continue to walk this path beside me until the very end.